All right, let's talk about 5 blockbuster trade proposals for the Yankees. Okay. After this, I'm going to go over into a Luke Voigt trade proposals video as per request, and I've got a video, another request video pertaining to the Mets, and I'm going to combine what I think they should do this offseason as well as what I think they will do. So my recommendations and projections. And predictions. So that's going to be a video too. And then I'm going to talk about the Yankees' kind of shortstop options, most obvious shortstop options for 2022. I'm going to talk about their homegrown options, and then obviously free agent options. Those will be videos. So they're all coming up. So if you're not subscribed and you want to see them, hit that subscribe button right now. Hit the notification so you know exactly when they're coming out. But let's talk about these trades. And again, keep in mind, when I do these trades, and I've done Aaron Judge, I've done Aroldis Chapman, Gleyber Torres, they're all in the description down below. Okay? They all represent needs for the Yankees in one way or another, whether it's getting catching prospects here, what they don't have. I know some folks have kind of criticized me for getting prospects and not much major league personnel in return. Well, some of the trades represent just that. The Yankees need more catching prospects of a high-end elite than they do certain major league players because they're blocked anyway by other major league players. So some of these trades make more sense. And they're thin at the catching position at the upper levels of the minors. That's why some of the trades are heavy on the catching side. But then it also adds like a position player and a pitcher as well. So as in some of the trades, so they all represent need for the Yankees. And again, some of them represent payroll relief. Some of them represent other things. But it's all one way or another a trade that fits the criteria. And again, I'll say this. I'm not doing trades where a team is getting fleeced, whether it's the Yankees or the other team, because that generally doesn't really happen. Even the Padres didn't get fleeced last year when they brought all those pitchers in. They didn't give up a top 3 prospect for any of them, or maybe even a top 5 prospect for any of them. So they did really well. So but they gave up a lot of depth, just like the Yankees gave up a decent amount of depth for Gallo and Rizzo and some of these other guys, but none of them were in the top 10. Okay, so keep in mind that too. But let's get to it. Okay, so the first trade involves the Cleveland Indians. In the situation, Cleveland sends Jose Ramirez, who's not a free agent until 2024, superstar, and Francisco Mejia, who's their number 2 prospect, a catcher. He's a top 100 prospect. To the Yankees for Gleyber Torres, Gio Urshela, Luis Medina, who's their number 8 prospect, a right-handed pitcher, and Everson Pereira, the number 13 prospect, an outfielder. Okay, this would probably be a good. He might even have to add a prospect to it, but they would get Ramirez. And again, I'm of the opinion now they're probably going to wind up keeping Torres at second base unless they can get somebody like this, which makes it easier for them to move DJ to first and then make a move. DJ to second and then make a move for first and short. Because Gio would still be there unless he's moved in this trade as well. But this particular trade involves Gio and Torres, but you're getting back Jose Ramirez, all right? Again, Luis Medina and Everson Pereira, and they're getting an elite, super elite catching prospect because we do not have currently an obvious replacement for Gary Sanchez. It's not Kyle Higashioka, and there's no one else that represents an obvious replacement. Nobody in the farm either. They have some players in there, but none of them are in the upper levels of the system, and none of them are obvious fits or even close to be major league ready. So that's something I think it's important to acknowledge right now. So and that's why a lot of my recent trades have a high-end catcher in it for that reason. Okay, so that's the first trade. And again, Cleveland gets a lot of controllable players in return. They have been still wanting to shed payroll, even though they're kind of accelerating their rebuild. This can help them accelerate it too. They would get 2 potential starting position prospects right away for 1. So, and then 2. Pitching prospect they could, who's close to major league ready, and then an outfield prospect. So needs all across the board for the Indians. Then the second trade involves the San Diego Padres. The Yankees would be sending Joey Gallo and Domingo Germán and Davy Garcia to San Diego. And this has 2, 1A and 1B. So in this case, you're sending those 3 to San Diego for Justin Lang, the number 8 prospect, a right-handed pitcher, Reese Nair, the number 9 prospect, a right-handed pitcher, and Ethan Elliott, the number 11 prospect, a left-handed pitcher. So they're moving Gallo, Germán, and Garcia. Garcia, I don't see him having a fit at any point in time in the major league team for the Yankees. Germán has been up and down, but he's serviceable and he gives the Padres some versatility. But we'd also be moving Gallo and his salary and clearing off 3 40-man roster spots, which the Yankees need to do. And in return, Obviously, they're getting those 3 guys. They're pitching prospects, so loading up on pitching prospects. Okay, the alternate trade is those same guys, Gallo, Herman, and Garcia to the Padres for Luis Campusano, who's their number 2 prospect, a catcher who's going to be harder to move. He's got some major league experience, and Adam Frazier, who just wasn't the fit there in San Diego. They didn't really have a role for him, and I thought he would be better with the Yankees. So they get a major league player back here, as well as a high-end elite catching prospect who's touched the majors already. So that 1B is my favorite, or 2B is my favorite, but either one of these trades could work. So that's San Diego. Number 3, with Oakland A's. They would send Gleyber Torres, Luis Medina, and Luke Voit, and Gio Urshela, so a lot of controllable young players here, over to the Oakland A's for either Matt Olson and Matt Chapman, or Matt Olson and Sean Monet. Okay, Olson and Chapman both have 2 controllable years. All right, they're not free agents until 2024. Sean Monet is a high-end starter, frontline pitcher, who's a free agent after the 2022 season, and the A's are not going to pay any of these guys. So this is an opportunity, and the Yankees can afford to absorb some of the salaries, but they can get an elite position player and a pitcher plug in right behind Garrett Cole, who can be right in the starting rotation. And in return, they're giving young, controllable players, Torres, Medina, Voit, and Gio Urshela. So Gio Urshela could replace Chapman. Voit could replace Olson. And again, these guys have controllable years. The A's are not in the business of paying players that get expensive, so this helps them reset. And the Yankees would also be clearing 1, 2, 3, 4 40-man roster spots. Okay, and they're getting a little bit more quality in return. But I think Gleyber Torres would be serviceable at second base there, and he'd be pretty good. And Voit or Urshela, that would be almost a revamped infield for them. But a lot of controllable players. So that's what the Oakland A's. Number 4, Aaron Judge and Luis Medina, number 8 pitching prospect to the Los Angeles Dodgers. For Brusdar Graterol, who's an elite pitcher who's made the majors on the playoff roster, young fireballer. Gavin Lux, multi-positional player who's got like 5 years of team control left, and Dustin May, who's one of their elite young starters as well, who's coming back from Tommy John surgery. This is a blockbuster. So obviously the LA Dodgers would get our superstar player, one of our superstar players, Aaron Judge, who's got 1 more year before he's a free agent, and they're one of the few teams who could afford to give him a big contract. But they could also move on from him if they win the World Series next year and give him a qualifying offer and let someone else pay him for him too. So they could do that. But in return, the Yankees get a haul here. Okay, these are top prospects. Brusdar Graterol is a fireballing right-hander who I think is a starter reliever guy. Dustin May is a starter. Again, he's coming off Tommy John, so he'll need some recovery. And then Gavin Lux. This is the type of return, major league ready players and big time prospects. So that to me represents a blockbuster of blockbusters. And the 5th trade involves the Phillies. So the Phillies would send Aaron Nola, starting pitcher who's a free agent in 2024, so he's got 2 controllable years, and Rhys Hoskins, who's also got 2 years before he's a free agent in 2024, so a starting pitcher and a first baseman, to the Yankees for Luke Voit, okay, Davy Garcia, Alexander Vargas, their number 13 prospect who's a shortstop, and Everson Pereira, the number 10 prospect and outfielder. So, they're getting 2 pretty solid prospects who are up and coming, but they're also getting payroll relief because it sounds as if Dave Dombrowski, the GM over there, wants to bring in somebody like Carlos Correa, and who's going to cost a boatload of money. This allows them to free up salary. And Aaron Nola had an off year, so there's a chance he might be able to pry him away from the Phillies and add him into this trade, but they would be getting a new starting first baseman, a young pitcher who they could work with over there, who Joe Girardi has experience with or familiarity with, Davy Garcia, and then 2 position prospects. So this to me is a solid trade too. And again, the key is Yankees absorbing some salary, getting 2 major league players back to address positions of need here, and giving some major league and minor league players back in return for the Philadelphia Phillies, so that they can go after a Correa and some other things. So, again, teams helping each other here. Okay, as much as I don't like helping other teams, that's the way it has to be, because our team is getting help with all these trades too. So, let me know what you think of these trades. Okay, these are, kind of outside the box, but they represent blockbuster trades for the Yankees. And they would be improving, in a lot of different ways, whether it be in the prospect side or the major league side, the offensive side. But it adds offense, it adds versatility, it adds pitching, it adds a whole bunch of things for the Yankees in whatever trade they do. But again, The Judge one with the Dodgers might be painful because they're moving Aaron Judge, but again, the Dodgers are one of the few teams that can afford him. And I'll say this: some people may not like it, but Aaron Judge is going to, I know he says he wants to stay here, but he's going to go where the money is. So if the Yankees, let's say, give him, I don't know, a 7-year extension offer for $210 million. $30 million a year, and he turns it down, and someone gives him 250, 260, he's going to go to that place. And whether it's Colorado or Cincinnati, he'll be like, I've always wanted to go to Colorado, Cincinnati, wherever it is. Okay, he's going to be put on a happy face and say he wanted to be there. Okay, he's going to go where the money is. This is his opportunity to cash in on free agency. You can't really blame him, and I don't blame him. So he's a superstar, but I don't think the Yankees should be bidding against themselves for the player whose contract won't start until he's 31. Now, if he was 27, I'd feel completely different, but he's not. And the Yankees would have already gotten 5 or 6 of his prime years instead of a 10-year deal where you're going to get probably 6 years of decline and maybe 4 more years of prime into decline. So it's something to keep in mind. Something to keep in mind. I think it's important to, at the very least, draw some perspective and thought into that. So, but again, if he stays, I'm totally cool with it too. I just hope he stays happy and productive, healthy and happy and productive. So, and again, with the Yankees having a 4th coach now, Reggie Willits, I think it was his name, leaving. He was the infield/outfield coach. They need 4 coaches now instead of 3 to support Boone and the team. So they have a lot of work to do. But that Willits was the first. He left today. He wasn't fired. He's apparently moved on to the University of Oklahoma for a, I think, assistant instructor or coach's position or something like that. So moving back to the college level, and not a bad thing. So, but these are my 5 blockbuster trades. Hope you enjoyed them. Give me your feedback in the comments, and I'm looking forward to seeing hopefully as many of you as possible on Saturday night for our live stream. And I got a bunch more stuff coming. So have a great week, guys. Talk to you then.